Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be my 1-year update. This is my 1-year anniversary today, the day I am filming this, not the day you're seeing this, but the day I'm filming it from my total hysterectomy. For those of you that may be catching up or maybe binge watching my series here about my hysterectomy, hi. I know a lot of women have been finding my channel specifically for this topic. And we're talking women in our age demographic here, 30s to 40s to 50s. A lot of you are reaching out to me about this, and I am so excited to be able to sit down with you today and do my 1-year update. I just posted about it this morning, and I've gotten a flood of messages from my longtime subscribers and new subscribers who found me through that series of videos saying, I can't believe it's been a year. I know, me too. It feels like it was yesterday and not yesterday at the same time. So if this is not the content you usually come here for, like my regular subscribers, we talk about makeup, BoxyCharm, positivity, all those good things. I totally get it if this is not something that you come here for all the time, but maybe you just want to know that I'm doing okay. So many amazing, strong women have found my channel and my hysterectomy journey and story here on YouTube, and you guys have been reaching out to me privately with your own situation and feeling like you found a sister that understands what you're going through, because maybe you are in that younger demographic that you're like, holy crap, I thought hysterectomies were only for moms and grandmas. Or you're scared and you just found out and you think you may have to get a hysterectomy. I have heard from so many amazing, strong women through this series that I absolutely wanted to do an update for you 1 year later. Not only to just prove to you I am a living proof example that there is life beyond a hysterectomy even if you are younger, but that it doesn't have to be this huge, heavy thing that you're never gonna be the same about. Things are gonna adjust, but so is life. Life is totally adjusting. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that we're some bad bitches. We're tough. Sorry for anybody who has kids in the background. Don't listen to Aunt Nichole if she uses a bad word. Don't say that. Did you know you had an Aunt Nichole? You do. It's okay. But we're tough girls, and we can get through anything. And if 2020 didn't break us, because it didn't and it won't, then we can get through anything. So today is going to be my update. I have nothing written down, nothing planned. This is literally me on my own hysterectomy anniversary coming to you with just my thoughts. So if you're interested to see kind of how my last year has evolved and where I'm at currently and where I hope to go next, grab yourself a little drink, grab a snack, grab your husband, grab your kid, grab your puppy, grab whatever, or sit here alone and let's just have some girl time, because now we're gonna get into it. If you are new here and maybe you are about to discover your own hysterectomy journey and you found this video first, I highly suggest going back into some of my older videos. I'm going to have my full playlist for my hysterectomy journey upon discovering that I was gonna need a hysterectomy, what my thoughts were beforehand, and my updates afterwards. So I'm gonna link all those down below and up in the card. Also, I highly suggest you check out my 2 highlights on my Instagram stories. My first one was doing the day in the life as I was recovering from surgery. And it really helps maybe give you a little in-depth day in the life, how it all plays out situation there. And then I have a second one that unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I've not been able to update it as much, but hopefully this video will help support some of that information and I can start picking that back up. So be sure to follow me on Instagram and check out that highlight if you are kind of wanting to know possibly what your life may look like right after the hysterectomy. And everybody's different, and you're gonna hear that a million times from doctors, surgeons, nurses, the whole 9 yards. But let's get into my own personal experience here. I know I would not have gotten through that whole time frame and that process without so many of you amazing, amazing women out there. A lot of you reached out to me when I first posted my videos, and that was such a comfort. So now anytime somebody reaches out to me, I always try to respond back, give you as much support and information as I possibly can. And in my Amazon links, I will be linking that below as well. I do list out some of the products that I bought and used and needed during my recovery time from my hysterectomy. I honestly didn't even review the last videos I talked about this in, because honestly, I feel like I've lived it. So let's just kind of give a little bit more in-depth information. I feel like My journey was longer than most would be. I had a lot more wrong with me than the average hysterectomy. Between having to have a C-section cut instead of being able to do this laparoscopically, that significantly changed my recovery, but also the inflammation in my body. I feel like my recovery, and so does my surgeon, feels like my recovery was a lot longer than most. So keep that in mind as I'm talking about things, because I don't want to scare anybody. I try to keep everything just light and happy, but I keep it real with you because I want you to know the absolute truth of it. I think the best place to maybe start this part of my journey here with you is to kind of let you know what the recovery was like in the rearview mirror. And the thing is my recovery was so much longer than I think most people's are. And you're gonna hear a lot through this whole process if you are getting ready to go through your own journey. Every woman is different, and that could not be more true, but it's also one of the most frustrating things you can hear, because a lot of times you're like, I need data to back up what I'm about to go through. Someone give me some kind of like guide to get through this. So if it makes you feel any better, my journey was a little bit tougher for recovery. I really do think keeping a positive mindset is crucial, because it will be so easy to do that slippery slope down the rabbit hole of negativity and why me, and oh damn, why did this happen, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is you're gonna get through it. If I can get through what all of my yuckiness that I'm about to get into, you 100% can. I'm actually messaging with one of my amazing subscribers that's, been a long time subscriber, a beauty lover that's been here on my channel. Found out she was gonna need a hysterectomy, so she and I have been conversing about hers, and I'm so impressed with how quickly she's able to get up and move around. And she actually had to remind me, you had a lot more going on than I did, so comparing apples and oranges here, lady. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. So keep in mind, my experience is just that, my experience through it. Yours is probably going to be very different. It may be 10 times easier, but I think it's important to keep in mind that your mindset is what is going to keep you going. Yeah, a support team is nice too, like your husband, your mom, your dad, whatever, but you are the most important. Up here is really where you need to take care of yourself and be kind to yourself. A lot of times when I was posting in those updates, in those highlights on Instagram, I was doing that to express myself to you, because I would be saying things like, it was another tough day, but that's okay, because I was also telling that to myself. So while I was telling that to the world and wanting to have this as an archive for anybody in the future to see, I was also saying it for myself, that I was reminding myself, it is okay to have a bad day. Tomorrow is brand new, and we're gonna start fresh, we're gonna start positive, we're gonna start what we're grateful for. I am grateful that this is done. The surgery is over, and now I'm into the recovery phase. My inflammation and swelling was the biggest factor after my surgery. But keep in mind, my surgery was more intense than others. I had to have the C-section cut instead of doing this laparoscopically. That alone added a significant amount of recovery time, more than I even really wanted to allow myself to understand in the beginning. Because in my head, as soon as I was like told, you're either gonna get it the way most people get it done, which is laparoscopically, or you're gonna have to have it done via the C-section, I was like, no matter what, I got this, I got this, I got this. Looking back on it now, 1 year out, I can tell you, I'm so glad I had that mindset, because the recovery was way longer. The swelling made it that much harder for me to feel confident that my recovery was on track sometimes, because I would be messaging my doctor saying things like, hey, I'm still really swollen, and most people are supposed to be done by 6 weeks. I'm like 6 weeks and 2 days, and I'm still really distended in my belly. Now with my surgery though, and most, I think, endometriosis surgeries specifically, keep in mind, I had to have this for extreme stage 4+++ endometriosis. Some of you are having it, you've mentioned to me, because of cancer. Some of you have told me that you are getting it because of fibroids. There are a variety of reasons why women need these surgeries. My main one was the endometriosis that was so extreme, but I also had fibroids. I also had a 9-centimeter cyst on my ovary over here. There was a plethora of things that were wrong. My body was just like, no, we're not doing this whole kid thing. We're just gonna, I'm just gonna excuse myself here. My surgeon told me that my belly had to be blown up to really, assess how much endometriosis was in there. And I knew that, and I've mentioned that in previous videos. What I didn't know was how much longer, because of the way my body was reacting, I was gonna be swollen. And I was told by my doctor that could last 6 months to a year for some people. And that was the first time I had actually heard that, was after my swelly belly, as they call it, didn't go down in the normal weeks, like 6 to 8 week time frame. I was getting worried, and my doctor was getting worried at times. So when I went in to see her, she's like, everything looks good. Nothing is here that's giving me pause. The Orlissa medication that I was on after my surgery to help kill the rest of the endometriosis that was all over my organs, because I was such an extreme case. We do believe that that was keeping a lot of the lower abdominal swelling there. So putting on pants sounded terrible. Putting on shorts sounded awful. Walking for me took me much longer than most. Like, I was very swollen for a long time. Even getting back into working out and things like that, I took it at a grandma pace, and I wasn't even gonna apologize for it. Mostly because I was also very concerned about prolapsing bladders, and I know a lot of you have asked me, how is my bladder? How are things going? Because a lot of you that have reached out to me are in the process of research. What I learned about my bladder and what I learned about my body from my endometriosis is that there's going to be a lot of scarring in there if you also have endometriosis, especially if you're on the extreme end, such as myself. And that can help keep your bladder up so you don't have to worry about bladder prolapse because of all the scarring. So, you got to take the good with the bad, the silver linings when you can. But the other thing that she said to me that was really valuable and that I want to share with everybody about your bladder when you're, talking about a hysterectomy, because the two do go hand in hand to some degree, was that it's really more of a genetic thing. Ask your grandma, ask your mom, hey mom, when did you start having issues with your bladder? Hey grandma, when is that a thing? And yes, that's kind of a little TMI conversation, and some people maybe aren't that close with their family, or maybe you don't have that family anymore. But keep in mind, it's not a given that your bladder is going to drop after a hysterectomy. Is it a possibility? Sure, but it's also a possibility for people that have had babies. It's also a possibility for a variety of reasons if you've got other health scares, or it did extreme training as far as like heavy lifting went, things like that. Both my mom and my grandmother really didn't have bladder issues until their later 50s. So, it's one of those things where you have to be more mindful about things, but that's kind of like anything in life. After you've broken your arm, aren't you going to be a little bit more mindful around that arm going forward, possibly through the rest of your life? Anything's possible. So I don't allow myself to think of it as a death sentence or like this is forever, it's so dramatic, I can't believe this happened to me. I don't let it go there, even though it's real easy sometimes. I am more mindful of my bladder. I do my Kegels, and ladies, this should not be something we can't talk about as women. Your Kegels are important, not only just for tightness and things like that, but it's all for, after babies and sex and things like that. But it's also just as important for your long-term health to be mindful. Like if you're gonna go do your cardio, make sure, you give yourself 5-10 minutes to do some Kegels somewhere around that time. It needs to kind of be incorporated as women no matter what we do. But for some reason, I don't hear women talk about that enough. I don't know if it's, past generations think you shouldn't talk about that kind of thing, but women's health is extremely important and so under-discussed. That's why I do these type of videos, because someone's got to tell you the information. For some reason, no one else is. Or there are some, but not a lot. So definitely focus on your Kegels, focus on the right ways to take care of your body. Those are important. I am in this phase right now, and I think some of it is hormones, and I'm going to talk about hormones too, but I in my 30s am the lowest weight I have been in my 30s, post-op, post-hysterectomy 1 year later. Is that going to change possibly? More than likely, because being a woman always gets better and better. But I make jokes, but it's true. Like, I'm going to gain weight some point in my life, but right now, I'm surprised with how well my body is now bouncing back. But my recovery was for freaking ever. It was like a good 6 to 7 months of being so swollen. with my abdominal area that I was like, okay, this is just going to be what my body could possibly look like after surgery, and I need to be okay with that. I need to not let that define me or devalue me in some way, and not give a damn what anybody else in the world thought. It's just how it was. And then as I got off the Orlissa, which is the medication that, like I mentioned before, is what kills the endometriosis that's still in your body. It zaps it, according to the doctors. They like the word zap because I think they can't legally say kill the endometriosis, but Orlissa is what I was taking right after my surgery for 6 months to get it all off of there. And then once I got off of that, I went on to my first dose of hormones. I started out with 1 milligram of estrogen and did that for 3 months. And I could tell that it was not going to be enough. We had kind of known, being younger and all. I was 35 when I had my surgery. I'm 36 now. We knew, being younger, having to go through this, I was going to probably need a higher level of estrogen. And I could tell during those first 3 months, I was adjusting. And the best way I know how to describe it, because it's so indescribable when you're going through hormones and feelings, you ladies know this, it kind of reminded me when I was a lot younger and trying to figure out birth control. And I was on the pill, and they would change my pill, and maybe that's where some acne came from. Maybe that's where some skin stuff came from. You know, you feel it with your hormones, you feel it with your moods. There's a whole plethora of stuff, and you kind of got to work through it. And I let my doctor know at my 3-month checkup, I think I need more. So we went up to 2 milligrams in the beginning of March of 2020. And March of 2020 is when we were starting to learn about the coronavirus and the pandemic, and it all started snowballing. So while this whole world has been shifting and changing, I have been going through hormone replacement therapy and increasing my dosage. If you're wondering if I've been stressed and crying and hormonal and binge eating and feeling all of these crazy feelings, then it's like you're psychic, because it's 100% true. It's been a really rough 2020 for a variety of reasons, but adding hormone replacement therapy to it, I was like, oh, girl, if you can get through this, you could probably, like, you can do anything. I don't know. I would just think of the biggest, most, like, out of this world thing. And I'm like, man, if I can get through this, I can get through anything, because it is a lot. And I would be 100% lying to you if I didn't say it's been hard and it's been difficult. And to add other factors to it, for you that are new here or you don't watch my videos normally, I live in a tiny house like the kind you see on HGTV. So not only was I going through my own body changes, I was going through a world pandemic in a tiny house. My husband had been furloughed for about 2 months, and we were all in this space where we couldn't leave. And the world stresses get to all of us as it was. So on top of that all, I've been kind of working my way through it. Keeping myself in check has been a very fascinating process, because I do have to sit here and ask myself some days, am I crying because I'm stressed out, or am I upset because of the pandemic? Is it all of it? Is my insomnia bad because of it? Because insomnia has been a factor for me too. Going through this during a pandemic and hormone replacement, and now like really world-changing movements that we've got going on right now, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. You can't say that it isn't. So again, my journey is going to be a little different than everybody's, but having been distended and swollen for so long as being really big factors of my physical recovery, that was really hard. But I also was experiencing pretty extreme insomnia. Hot flashes for me haven't really been much of a thing. Every now and again, I think I kind of get a wave of one, but that really hasn't been too much of a factor for me. The biggest issues for me were my swelling in my belly and insomnia. Not being able to sleep and being stressed out are not two things that go together. You don't want to go to that party. It's not fun. So I have been working through some different ways to help my sleep, to help my daytime living, because that's been a factor. Because I do work from home, I work remotely, but as we were trying to keep our company functioning and working, and I'm going through hormone replacement therapy, I needed to be able to sleep. So I had been doing some things like over-the-counter sleep meds were, you know, obviously some of the first stuff that was recommended by my doctor. So I was doing that very safely. I've also been using some CBD. That does help me. I have a medical license to use CBD. That has also helped. I'm hoping now that I'm getting into my 3rd month of hormone replacement therapy on my 2 milligrams of estrogen, because you kind of got to wait 3 months before you really make too many adjustments to it. I think I'm now getting to the part where I'm hopefully going to start using less sleeping aids. That is my goal, to use less sleeping aids. But it's really hard because I can't at this moment like go and exhaust myself with a good workout, because technically we're still at the moment that I'm filming this kind of under quarantine. The numbers are still rising here in Florida. So I'm having to pivot and adjust with the world too. I feel like I might be a little sporadic here because, again, like I said, I'm just sitting here talking to you guys. I don't have any notes in front of me. I'm just kind of going through the motions of what I've been kind of dealing with since kind of the beginning of this year / towards the end of last year. I was feeling pretty good in December, November of 2019 when I was still on the Orlissa. I think the Orlissa really helped me to combat any of the oncoming menopausal symptoms. I know everybody's experience isn't the same. Some people maybe don't like Orlissa as much. I know a few of you have reached out to me and said you were also on Orlissa and it worked great for you. You're only supposed to be taking that for so long. Your doctor will recommend how long. I think I was on the upper end of the longest you're supposed to take it because my case was so extreme for the endometriosis. So, but we do think that that is what was holding on to my swelling. So if you are in that part of the process, talk to your doctor, be transparent. I was probably overly communicative, but you know what? I pay for my health insurance, so we're gonna talk about this. I wanted it to be known when I was having issues. So the surgery was June 10th of last year. Then after surgery, I had 6 months of being on Orlissa, which pretty much took me to January of 2020. So that was when I went on the hormone replacement therapy of starting out with 1 milligram of estrogen, and we did that up until the beginning of March, and that's when we added the extra dosage. So I'm just kind of like breaking down the timeline for you. So where I'm currently at is I'm at the April, May, June. Yeah. Now I am at the 3-month mark of dealing with 2 milligrams of estrogen. So as of this moment, I'm not going to ask for more estrogen or ask about tweaking my meds, because I think a lot of my anxiety and stress over the past 2 months has been accumulation of hormone replacement therapy. The world is changing, coronavirus, work stresses, trying to keep up with the demands of doing YouTube and trying to live a life, all of the things that kind of go on with your daily life with everything else going on in the background. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep with my 2 milligrams of estrogen at the moment to kind of really let myself see how this goes for another couple of months. And I will absolutely let you know if I end up deciding I need to change or adjust my medication. But as of right now, I think the 2 milligrams of estrogen is doing its job. I'm not feeling hot flashes. My skin, I think, is starting to even out, but my skin is always sort of adjusted as seasons change and whatnot. So I'm just being more mindful of a lot of different things. I can tell you, I think I've always had a hormone imbalance of some sort or a hormone issue. A lot of women have bumps on the backs of their arms. Well, some, not all, I guess. I shouldn't say most, but I've always had them, and I know a lot of other women have too. I can tell you little things that I'm noticing post-op now that I am, uterus-free, endometriosis-free, and all of those things. I'm feeling like my skin is actually smoothing out in areas that it never has before on its own. I think there's been a lot of changes in my body, and I think more are clearly to come. As I've said, I have lost at least, well, I'm probably gonna get weighed tomorrow because I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure I've lost at least 20 pounds since the end of 2019. So essentially, once I got off the Orlissa, weight just started kind of dropping off. And that doesn't mean that it's gonna stay off. I don't know what's gonna happen. Do I hope it stays off? Heck yeah. I'm actually feeling like this is the body that I had before, I can't even say before shit hit the fan, because I've had endometriosis for a very, very long time. But I always knew that there was this weird time frame in my late 20s into my early 30s where things got really difficult. And as far as my body went, where I was making so many different adjustments, and everybody wants to blame everything on age and, oh, your metabolism's going away and blah, 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 all that shit. And you just go, no, there's something else. Like, I can tell there's something else. And it really, it makes me really think, man, you know your body better than anybody else. Why are you letting anybody else tell you how to feel or what's going on? Like, we know, we're smart. As of June 10th, 2020, today, as I'm sitting in front of this camera, I'm entering a new phase of my recovery. And that's kind of the way I've been looking at it, is I've still been in recovery for a year because my surgery was pretty intense. There was a lot done, a lot removed. And I mean, even my doctor said every time she sees me and she introduces me to either a new, assistant or whomever's in the room with her, she's always like, this is Nichole. For her, it was like a bomb went off. Everything inside of her was just, it was covered. It was bad. We had to get it all out. Like, every time my doctor sees me, that's how she describes me. I almost wonder if I should make it in a medical book or something. I am a positive person who likes to make jokes and laugh about things, but there have been some really hard times through this. I mean, mentally, it's a lot to kind of wrap your brain around when you're going through another hormone change. And we're all gonna go through it no matter what. Even if you keep your uterus for forever, when you get to menopause, and menopause happens, we always think it's like, in the 50s and 60s for ages, but the reality is there's people that go through menopause in their 40s, and some people even in their 30s just because of their own body, and it's just how they do it. Nothing is straightforward, really. So, as far as my recovery goes, I am, like I said, my body's in the best shape it has been in a long time. I'm hoping to just improve upon that. And it's not like I've been doing any crazy workouts, because I haven't. I've been doing cardio, but also my food intake has changed, mostly because I think hormones, I'm not nearly as hungry or peckish. I do tend to do intermittent fasting, where I fast more in the mornings. But I also just think my body's finally decompressing all of the things that it's been carrying for so long. And when I mentioned that to my doctor, she's like, yeah, it's totally possible. You've had endometriosis for a long time. And the flare-ups and everything that comes with it, you have no idea about until you know. You don't know until you know. Sleeping is slowly getting better, but I think the pandemic and a lot of the unrest in the country right now isn't helping anyone's insomnia or anyone's stress or anxiety. So it's really hard to put parallels to that in this moment. So if you want to hear more updates about how I'm doing and how my process is going, how my recovery has extended, I'm happy to talk more about that. And if you have questions, please leave them down below. My body has changed and I have new scars, and I think of the 20-year-old Nichole, and I have a new scar in that belly button area, and now that my tummy is flatter, like, I'm seeing it way more in clothes and when I'm putting on swimsuits for the new year. And I just sort of look at that and I smile seeing my new scar on my belly button where they had to blow me up to look at that endometriosis, because like a younger Nichole would have lost her mind. Oh my gosh, a scar. Ugh, the dramatics. But now I'm like, I have two scars. One down low and one tiny one in my belly button, but it comes out enough that you can see it. And there's something that just reminds me what a badass I am, and how if I can get through that, I'm pretty much unstoppable, and we're all pretty much superheroes, because let's be serious, if you're not the superhero of your own story, what are you doing? So many women have reached out to me since posting those first videos about how comforted they were through seeing my videos. And maybe you only saw one, maybe you saw them all. I want you to know there is life after endometriosis, because that was something you just want to know. When before I had my surgery, I was looking up everything I could on hashtags on Instagram, trying to see where people were a year later. How were they living their lives? Can they walk? Do they eat like normal? Do they have sex? Do they work out? What do they do? And honestly, I'm healthy, I'm happy, my body is improving every day, Is it going to change even more? Absolutely. Is there anything I can do about it? No. And is that okay? 110% yes. Okay, so now we're to the portion of the video that I'm going to address something that I think a lot of people want to know the answer to, but don't really know if they should ask it. Can they ask it? Is this awkward? But before I do, I'm just going to flat out say any family members of mine or my husband's that I know watch my channel, you need to get out of the video now, because we're going to be discussing some stuff that is not for family. Click out. Click out. I'm gonna wait. You good? Bye. All right, if you're still watching this, you better not ever bring it up to my face. The next thing I think a lot of people want to know the answer to, and some people are scared to ask about, is sex. Sex after a baby, sex after a hysterectomy, sex after anything that seems kind of traumatizing down here. You're always like, really? How does that work? Is it gonna work? I've actually had a lot of women want to know this answer. Every woman's experience is going to be different. Noted. Everybody knows that. I can tell you, I watched videos just like you are. I watched videos before my surgery, and there weren't a lot of videos out about this. So one woman very quickly said that women, her friends specifically, would ask her, is there still juice in the juice box? Or lubrication, whatever you want to call it. For my experience personally, and that's clearly the only thing I can speak to, but I have talked to other women, and a lot of us are not struggling with a dryness situation. But there is more of a mental barricade of like, because you know that maybe like I no longer have a cervix. So I know a lot of people are like, what does that mean for you? How does it change things? And honestly, I mean, mentally there is a block about should you touch anything down here, because for the first 6 to 8 weeks you're told you don't touch it, you just let it heal, all those things. But you do need to be very communicative with your partner, and I would suggest taking everything slow. Be very open about what you're expecting, what you're feeling, what you maybe don't want to happen. Be very communicative, have some lubrication on hand, all of the things that you kind of probably already know, but it is possible to have a healthy sex life after hysterectomy. It is something that is a mental block for a lot of women, not just with hysterectomies. Like I said, babies, so many things. It's hard to kind of get your groove back. And as my body has changed from being swollen and having stitches and recovery areas down below than most, I think my recovery was also a little bit longer there because everything, nobody told me I wasn't gonna feel everything after a C-section. Like, you don't feel that area anymore. That was something that I had to mentally get over. So showers were so hard for me for the first, well, 6 to 8 months. It was hard for me because I did get some feeling back, and I may even still get a little bit more back, but that part, you know, your body's changed. So be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and let your partner know as much as you can that you guys are on the same level, so there's no expectations, and so you feel comfortable to move forward with intimacy, because that is an important part of all relationships. I guess the overall reason I wanted to film this video was not only to give you an update 1 year later about how life does continue on, but it can actually be better than you think. Like, again, I'm finally getting my body back to where it was before I had major flare-ups with endometriosis. I'm able to put on clothes that I actually feel good in, which does help support when you're feeling better with your partner and being able to maybe be more intimate in the bedroom. Feeling more confident in my day-to-day work, where maybe I can start doing more exercises. My sleep is starting to improve. Pandemic isn't helping with that or anything like that, but I've got a lot of different variables that I'm currently working through, and I'm still kicking. I'm still staying as positive as I can. And today I even took it back old school, and I took my morning time to do my makeup, listen to some positive videos on things like law of attraction and what am I trying to attract in my life, what are the positive things I'm looking forward to, what am I grateful for. I also love listening to my You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living Your Most Amazing Life. I talk about that book a lot right now, especially during this pandemic, but I know a lot of you just watched this hysterectomy series, so maybe check out that book too. And that's about helping in life, not just with your hysterectomy. And I know right now a lot of you are probably focused on that, and I get it. But bigger picture, keep that mindset positive. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself in the right mind frame. Guys, I love you. I feel like I could just keep talking because I don't even have any notes. I feel like this is a conversation between ladies right now, a little my girlfriend time. I love you and it will be okay. I know it might be hard to think that right now because you're just hearing this huge word hysterectomy and it sounds big and scary, but you're tougher than that. I'm tougher than that, and we're gonna get through it all. Thank you guys so much for caring and wanting to know about my 1 year update. Sorry if this was kind of sporadic, but between pandemic, work, life, and hormones, and my battery's flashing at me for the 16th time, we've got so much going on, but we have so much to be grateful for. So I hope this helps you know that there is life on the other side. There is happiness on the other side of surgery. There is sex on the other side of surgery. There is growth. There is, you get to put on skinny jeans too after your surgery. I can't believe that I'm actually in my jean shorts. I'm shocked about it too, but life does keep going and it gets better actually because you're not in pain. You don't have to put tampons in anymore. Forget those. You can laugh at the terrible ads out there now. You're like, oh man, I remember those days. In the past. No more Shark Week for you. I love you guys, and if you need to check out the rest of my playlist, be sure to check it out below. And if you want to hang out some more with some more positivity, maybe talk about some makeup, have a good time, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I love you guys. Even if you don't subscribe and you're just here for some support, feel free to message me on Instagram. Message me down below here. I send everyone the most support because you got this. I got this, you got this, we got this. Bye, friends. And for those of you curious what's on my teeth, I just got Invisalign like a few weeks ago, so that's what all these little nodules are. Sorry if it looked weird or sounded weird. We're still growing. We're still doing stuff. We got plans. We're gonna do it all.